What is up, guys? It's your boy, Buffed Cactus, and today we are going to be discussing that due to a PvE meta shift that came about from the recent mid-season update, exotic primaries, and not all exotic primaries, but specific groups of exotic primary weapons in Destiny 2 are now absolutely insane, okay? They're busted. They're bussin'. No cap. On a stack, alright? I turn 30 tomorrow. This is the last time I can say this stuff, alright, guys? But seriously, if you haven't tried out certain exotic primaries, you absolutely need to, and that's because the way that the recent mid-season update was applied to weaponry, exotic primaries kind of came out of this whole thing the biggest winners, right? The biggest beneficiaries. Now, why is that? Well, within the mid-season update, the main thing to impact the PvE meta was the fact that Bungie significantly buffed certain primary weapon types in order to compete with bows and SMGs. And here are those buffs. Auto rifles got a 25% damage increase, pulse rifles, hand cannons, and sidearms got a 20% damage increase, and scout rifles got a 10% damage increase. And so a lot of people ran to try out a bunch of legendary auto rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, etc. I made a couple videos talking about the god rolls and the legendaries you want to look at, but also you need to be looking at exotics, and that's because exotic primary weapons actually get a special damage bonus. They do 40% more damage compared to their legendary counterparts against red bar enemies. And the purpose of that is to actually make them feel exotic. If you're using an exotic primary to slay out on ads, it should feel more special and more effective than your average legendary. And especially if you do take that weapon into higher level content, something like a Grandmaster where it takes quite a few shots to kill, that 40% damage increase is really going to be noticeable. You're going to be able to kill enemies significantly quicker. But Bungie actually came out and confirmed, as you can see, guys, that the damage increases that these primary weapons were getting, auto rifles, pulse rifles, etc., would also apply to exotic weapons and stack with their 40% damage against red bars. So now, you know, an exotic auto rifle, something like the SUROS regime, which I did try out recently, that's doing significantly more than 40% more damage against red bars than before this mid-season update. And so what you have here is really the concept of reaching the threshold, right? And that threshold is the shots to kill. So an example here is a hand cannon. You can increase the hand cannon damage by 5%, 7%, 12%, whatever arbitrary number you want. If it doesn't actually kill in one shot less, are you really going to notice that damage increase? You know, maybe against bigger enemies on higher level content a bit, but for most activities, unless you're actually killing quicker, you're not really going to notice that damage increase. Well, with exotic weapons, because we have such a big bonus, that 40% bonus already, and then we're increasing that by another 20%, the chances to actually kill in one shot less, and even with stuff like auto rifles, more like 2 or 3 shots less, is significantly higher, and it makes them significantly more noticeable in terms of how much faster they kill after this mid-season update. And combine that with the fact that primaries now get infinite ammo. If you're an OG player like me, you remember that wasn't always the case, and you should 100% be incorporating these exotic primaries into your loadouts and trying them out. So here are some recommendations. The first one is actually the GRAVITON Lance Pulse Rifle. I didn't think I would like this as much as I ended up liking it, but oh my goodness, it kills pretty darn fast. Like 2 bursts, even if they're like all body shots, kill these Cabal in the raid, and especially when you combine all of the insane void benefits this season, like volatile rounds, bricks from beyond, this thing is schlappin'. If you do get a precision shot, then you get that massive explosion, and remember, those like after kill effects like the Graviton explosion and a few more things we're going to talk about today, those should also be benefiting from these insane damage increases. So like, it's not just the actual shots of the Graviton that do, 60% more damage on red bars, it's the explosion that comes after as well that is significantly more deadly. Another one I did try out is the SUROS regime. When you get spinning up going, it absolutely melts now. It just deletes enemies. The only thing is that the magazine size is so small. I wish it was just a little bit bigger so you could really go off after spinning up was active, but still a pretty decent weapon, and the healing from it is pretty noticeable as well. Now, another one I tried is the Revision 0 Exotic Pulse Rifle. This is a bit special because it didn't just get that 20% increase to pulse rifles, it actually got another specific buff to its 2-shot burst mode. So that feels a lot more powerful than it did previously. And remember guys, specifically with the Revision 0 and its exotic perk letting you build up charge essentially and then unleash these really powerful, like almost sniper rifle shots, those do some of the most damage you can do, period, with a primary weapon. So those shots also just got 20% more damage. Now, moving on from there, one a lot of people have had their eyes on is the Quicksilver Storm. It has a new exotic catalyst that actually turns it into a strand weapon. Originally, in the beginning part of the season, it was glitched and it didn't get that 40% increased damage against red bars, but that actually got fixed, and also it gets that 25% damage increase for auto rifles. Like the Quicksilver Storm is arguably the best strand weapon like in the game right now. It's pretty nuts, aside from the Immortal, but we're talking PvE here, guys. Now, moving on from there, another really interesting one on the sidearm side of things is the Traveler's Chosen. This is often overlooked, guys, but in ability-focused builds, the amount of ability energy you can get back by consuming the charges of Traveler's Chosen is actually nuts. Like, you can just get a few easy kills. Remember, full auto is in the game now as an accessibility setting, so turn that on, ride the lightning, hold it down, it's doing 20% more damage, you get easy kills, you consume those stacks, you can get your entire grenade back after just a few kills. It is actually nuts. Moving on from there, also a sidearm, the Rat King. The Rat King has been taking down raid bosses because it actually does more damage and fires faster if you have more people in your fire team using the Rat King. So again, the damage the Rat King can do if you have all 6 people using it is enough to take down raid bosses. Now you're going to add 20% more damage on top of that? Like, that could actually be a serious contender. Moving on from there, I'm not sure this is affected or not, but hey, it's worth taking a look at the ERIANA'S Vow. It's a hand cannon, so presumably it should have gotten that 20% damage buff, but it's a special weapon. Again, I don't 100% know if this did get affected, but if it did, whoa, that is worth incorporating and trying that out. Moving on from there, another great hand cannon, the MALFEASANCE. This thing is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the full auto setting because it's rapid fire frame, 20 round magazine. Now you can hold the trigger. It just feels so much better to use. Not to mention its explosions that it causes with its exotic perk that do way more damage. They actually got a 50% damage buff somewhat recently, like within the last few seasons. So now stack another 20% on top of that. This thing actually kills pretty darn fast in PvE now. And then lastly, guys, if you like the Graviton Lance, the SUNSHOT is where it's at. And again, this is really the epitome of that threshold concept. If you can kill one shot sooner with something like the SUNSHOT, where you are, putting all of your eggs into that precision kill basket, and once you get that precision kill and you start popping off with enemies, remember, enemies killed by the explosion the SUNSHOT causes will also explode and cause another explosion. So one single precision shot with the SUNSHOT can pop off like you wouldn't believe. Very, very good weapon to try out. But of course, guys, those are just my recommendations. Have you been using any exotic primaries that have been performing really well that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comment section. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.